I think in seeing the latest guidelines that have come out around digital lending, which includes digital privacy as well, I think it's a very welcome move in terms of how the industry should kind of adhere to dealing with customers' data. There has been a massive shift in the last 5 years in terms of how customers and audiences avail digital credit. And because of that, there has been a fundamental shift in how organizations access data to provide customers digital credit. And because of that, there has been a lot of discussion around how privacy should be handled for customers. So, if you look at the guidelines, it says that the customer should be in the center of controlling how they give access to their own data, and for revoking the access that they give to their own data, which is absolutely fair. Like, as an organization, the organization should not have the absolute authority and the final say in terms of any data that the customer has given them. The customer has all the right to ask for revocation of the data, deletion of accounts of the data that they've given, or deletion of files that the organization might have on their data at any point of time. And that's typically what the regulator has asked for, other than they're also saying that the organization at all points of time should maintain systems that take into account and put in paramount importance on maintaining security around the data being captured. So I think, BNPL, if you think about it, has always been in existence in one form or the other. And the reason why BNPL in India has picked up the way it has in the last couple of years is because India has fundamentally shifted from an economy that viewed credit as a taboo to an economy where people are not shy from living a lifestyle that is financed by a healthy combination of savings and credit. And the moment you kind of finance your lifestyle with some portion of credit, you would need that credit to finance your everyday obligations, everyday requirements. And that typically what is something that BNPL does, or that's typically something that what credit cards, which are a form factor of BNPL, do as well. So while PPI was a form factor of delivering BNPL, with that not being there, I do not think that it's going to have any impact in how Indians avail BNPL. There would be more form factors or more doubling down on existing form factors in availing deferred payment options for everyday purchases for customers. So I do think that BNPL is still going to rise exponentially. So I would start with the last question first, because that's spoken about quite frequently. So I would say that banks and fintechs is not a zero-sum game. I think that it is a positive-sum game. Both players come with their own strengths and key values that they bring to the table. And I think that by collaborations happening, both parties tend to benefit. And we have seen that play out quite a lot, right? Specifically, if I have to pick up the neo-banking model in existence today, I think that it's typically a fintech player coming in partnership with a bank and creating a neo-banking proposition for the customers. And at the end of the day, I think that's not just the customer who benefits, but also the fintech and the bank as well. So I think it's always going to be a positive-sum game, just seeing the kind of strengths that both players come to the table with and how they complement each other's weaknesses or shortcomings. As far as technological challenges are concerned, I think it's very difficult for anybody, not just a bank, to kind of tide over legacy systems and implement new solutions. Because once you are a billion-dollar company out there, handling hundreds of thousands of customers with a lot of monetary assets, implementing widespread technical change doesn't come easy. So it's very encouraging to see how banks have actually taken up digital transformation initiatives and have taken up widespread technical improvement initiatives, and also embraced even the usage of AI in their tech stack recently. And it's probably it's going to take time, but I think they're going to get there. I would say that in a way, both yes and no. There was a funding frenzy that we saw last year. What we see now happening is a more pragmatic funding approach, right? Because there were a lot of business models out there last year that got funded that were predominantly cash burn models, or I would say models that would have been cash burn for the foreseeable future as well. So there's a lot of focus now on sustainable and business models, or at least business models that have a path to sustainability or profitability in relatively a lesser time scale than what was being pitched earlier. So I think the funding as such has started picking up, but in actual, I would say not just in companies, but in actual companies that are actually businesses. So that's what I would tell about that. There was people viewed value and valuation as being completely independent of each other. Right? They said that there are certain things that give you valuation and there are certain things that give you value as a company. I fundamentally think that for you to actually create a sustainable and a long-lasting business, you need to do things that give you value first and give you valuation as a result of that, right? As a company, that's what we have always focused on. That let's build an asset-backed company that brings in heavy value and then gives us a valuation as a result of that. You cannot do activities that give you valuation and suddenly have raised money, and then you don't know how to generate value out of that because that's not been your business model itself. So I think that the industry is heading into a perspective where there will be valuations, but there'll also be a fundamental value in the company for the company to grow into that valuation over the period of 6 to 7 months after raising an X amount of funding. So that's what I think of that.